Hey, yep. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Twist Johnson. So grab your substance or your drinks, or stay sober-minded, if you will. And with that being said, let's start the show. But if you're feeling the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. You'll get the social media handles down at the description below this episode. Before we introduce this young man inside the camera with me, we got the current events that nobody asked for, but spin monkey wrench. We're going to have to introduce this young man in the camera with me. And without further ado, this has been a long time in the making. Please introduce yourself, where you from, and a little bit about yourself.
What up, Twist, man? Like you said, it's been a long time in the making. Honestly, I think me and you talked about collabing around this time last year, and everything's
Yes,
just
we
been kind
did.
of super, I wouldn't say hectic. It just didn't kind of, pan out the way we wanted it to. But I mean, here we are now, a year later. So
Here we
that's
are.
always good. But my name's Steven. I go by SteveGeezy on my podcast called We Are the Mess. Basically, the idea of my podcast is kind of like your segment you do with news that nobody care to hear about it, but it's just a whole hour of bullshit like that.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, lately I'm the only host right now. I do current event type things, breakdowns, talk about whatever's going on in the news. I'll do movie reviews, game reviews, video game reviews, football stuff. I talk about everything, man. At the end of the day, I'm a nerd at heart. And I like to keep my ear to the ground, just know everything that's going on around me. I like to give my own personal opinion about everything that goes on. It's not always bad. It's just, me ranting or just, just seeing just basically my opinion on things, really. But that's basically the gist of my show. But yep, I'm SteveGeezy. We Are the Mess podcast.
Yes, there you have it. If you're familiar and you follow the Kickback podcast with Jay Rogers and Jason Sayre and now Akima, that I was also a co-host on before, you would know that we were always titled We Are the Mess. You will always see us throw the shorts up. We came a long way. Me and Steve, we actually was on the Come Up Together, and I found him on Spotify. At that time, he had a co-host, JR Jr.
Big JR, yep, big
Big
little bro.
JR. And I fell in love with what they were doing because it was relatable. We were both up and coming at the same time. Now you can see both of us. We're also starring our host now. We'll get into that. What We Are the Mess now is, and like we're gonna do that. But we're gonna do the current events that nobody asked for, and we're gonna let SteveGeezy throw it.
Current events that nobody asked for, man. This is the only thing I got to throw out to that nobody asked for. But at the end of the day, you people need to hear it because right now I'm going to talk about a little bit of sports, man. And I'm going to talk about the motherfucking Las Vegas Raiders, baby. That team right now has surprised me and through and through. I just went on a big rant about how much they're dog shit, how much they need to get off the. We need to immediately bench the quarterback, get rid of him, and all this other shit. I've been through this stuff throughout my whole years being a fan like this, and just lately they surprised me last week, and their defensive end, or their tackle, Max Crosby, man, he's killing it out there. And one thing I do want to bring up about like I said, the Raiders, the whole thing I'm trying to get at right now is at this point now, like I'm gonna try to have some fun with my team downfall, if you will. Um, every week on my show, I'm going to do a weekly punishment to where if my team loses, I have to do something, whatever my viewers vote for. Last week they voted for bull testicles, but luckily for me, they did not. This week will be something else. I'll put that out there, whatever it is. But man, news you don't know, check out football, man. Get out there. All the games right now are going crazy, right? And this whole Taylor Swift bullshit, man, is coming back, and it's something that I don't enjoy. I don't know why. There's people out there right now that think, oh, don't complain about it. At this point, everybody's just trying to get over. But like, I'm not over it. I'm not with the Taylor Swift shit being in football. I wouldn't mind it. I don't mind celebrities being in there, but I don't mind them recording their reactions every time they do something. So that's just my opinion on that. And that's kind of news that you really don't need to know, but you just heard it now.
The current events that nobody asked for. And the next segment before we jump into the show is the pour out and pour up. My boy Jeezy, what you got for these people? We pouring out, we pouring up.
We're pouring out.
Okay.
We're gonna pour out on this one.
Let's give it to them.
Have
Give them
you
a beat.
have you ever had anybody pour out for a pet?
Well, no, but you'll
Well,
be the first.
yeah, this will be the first, man. My wife just recently had our dog. She's had him for about 10 years, and he's been a big family pet for that long. So, but he just recently passed over the past couple weeks ago. So, family, kid, the wife, everybody's kind of taking it hard because you have a pet that you have for so long. It was he's a little dog, and he becomes part of the family, and everybody becomes attached to the animal, and he was just one of us. And sadly, he didn't go out any other like terrible way. He just went naturally. He was an old dog, and what I mean, the time was coming. So we're gonna pour out for Kramer, little Chihuahua Kramer today.
Salute. And here we go. We're gonna pour out for Kramer. Ah, salute to him. All right. What we've been waiting for years.
What you got for me, man? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. And today we are the mess on the platform. Like I said, this was a lot of work in the making. We both been taking this podcast journey together, a lot of conversations and just catching feedbacks and helping one another out. That's what it is when you getting something off the wall. It's not about competition. You don't compete when you're on the same team. Everybody can win. And I want to just say, like right here on the air, we talk about it out. Like, this brother has never made me feel like there was any competition. He's always made me feel like we both on this journey to get to where we need to be. That's having fun while giving information on the screen to the world. So, first things first, we are the mess. I'm a fan of the show, I'm a supporter of the show. But for the people out there who don't know what We Are the Mess is about, where did the name come from?
So what's funny about the name is obviously mentioned before. I had a co-host. Me and him kind of went on this idea to just start this random podcast because me and him would go on rants all the time. Um, we worked together. Me and him worked together for like 10 years. We work in the oil refinery industry. We're industrial painters and sandblasters, and me and him just go on these rants all the time. We were like good friends, and we just had, for some reason, for being the good friends we just never agreed on anything, which is weird why we became such good friends. So we started this podcast because we wanted to get our disagreements out there and just start, we thought it would be entertaining for people to hear.
Mhm.
The name actually came from, I had a list of names actually, and I threw a bunch at him, and ultimately he picked this one. But We Are the Mess actually comes from a song, which is from a band called Eskimo Callboy, which I don't know if you have any rockers that listen to you, but it's a rock band. And that's where it was just basically a song name. Nothing special about it. It was just a cool song name. That was what it is. So ultimately, that's what it came down to. The runner-up name was I'm a big fan of Quentin Tarantino movies. One of my favorites is like Inglorious Bastards or Django Unchained, and so one of the runner-up names for the podcast was Inglorious Podcasters, but ultimately we landed on We Are the Mess. We took off with that, and it's just been stitched in ever since. Never, now that I'm running on it solo, never thought to change it or anything like that. So I'm just gonna keep rolling with that name.
Yeah. So like I do recall when I discovered you guys, it was a co-host. It was a two-person podcast. And now you're a solo host. What's the difference between being a co-host and now a solo host? Has it been difficult? Has it been challenges of transitioning to just doing it by yourself?
So honestly, it hasn't been too much of a challenge for me, considering when it came down to it. I When we did the show, he took it more as a hobby. You know what I mean? He would just be there to just show up and record with me while I gathered all the news information. I got ideas for like specials, and I did like ideas for this and that. I just basically planned out every episode damn near. So for him to not be on the show anymore, it wasn't too difficult to kind of switch over. I would say, obviously, with two people now, that's the only hurdle I had, was it's just me now. I've done a couple solo episodes, but ultimately I've been having like a number of guests come on my show, helping out. I don't know if if your listeners know, but I've actually had the Tiger King on the show. His people actually reached out to me and asked me if the jail that he was staying at, he was able to take calls, and he kind of wanted to get out and tell his side of the story on things. And it's not like I have the most exclusive interview with him. He did this with a lot of podcasts around the world, and I jumped on it, man. And he hopped on my show, and he was one of my guests, and he told his side of the story. I got to ask him some like inside information and stuff like that. So, and and I did that all on my own. You know what I mean? Without my other co-hosts and stuff like that. It hasn't been hard. Like I said, the only hurdle is my show is kind of based on two people. I have done some solo episodes, which I think went fine. You know what I mean? They still got listeners to it and stuff like that. When I do solo shows, I still kind of keep to the heart of the show, where I basically review things, talk about things, give my opinion on things, and just try to keep the same spirit that I have with the show when I have a guest on or anybody on. You know what I mean?
Right? Like I do remember the Tiger episode. I did catch it. I was like, what? Always doing things.
Yeah, it was honestly, that was so nerve wracking, man. Like the first day I did it, you click into this room, and it just says waiting for guests to connect, and I could tell you, like, I was tripping out. I was like, oh my god, I'm about to be connected with the Tiger King, man. The most like, I wouldn't say famous at the moment, but like 2020 COVID, when that hit, man, he was the
Yeah.
only thing that was talked about in that time. And I and my wife watched that whole thing, and just the fact that he was about to connect to the screen with me, and we and him were about to chop it up, it was cool, man. And it was a cool experience. He's a cool dude, and he's
Mhm.
got a lot going on, and he has a lot to say. And you know what I mean? He might be getting pardoned by the end of the year. So that's something to look out for. And he's got another movie coming, or not a movie, but another documentary
Mm.
that's made by him called Return of the Tiger King, where he basically unloads everything about the whole how the whole Netflix series was false. So I mean, that's a side that a lot of people don't know, is that the Netflix series was kind of embellished a lot, and he had a lot to say about that. So I mean, check it out. And not to mention, he's kind of frequent on Instagram. If you hit
Mhm.
him up, I mean, chances are he might write back.
Right. Like for the listeners out there, if you're not familiar with it, the Tiger King was a huge viral Netflix series that follows the gentleman that he's speaking with and his wife and all these other individuals that was kind of like wrapped up into this whole scandal. I won't get into it because I'd rather you guys listen and watch it. And just what Steve is just saying right now, there's a lot more to it. So like if you can watch that and then catch the episode on We Are the Mess of the Tiger King in his interview, then you could kind of connect the dots and you can make like your own like breakdowns on your own perspective of what it is. So for myself, I've had guests that I was appreciated that they did come. I still got more to come. That's the beauty of being a host. That like nowadays you can actually sit down with people that you're fans of, people that you support, and they don't have a sense of entitlement to where they not feeling like they can't come have a like a sit down with you.
Yeah.
Um, what do you feel like is the most rewarding about being your own TV host, show host?
Honestly, I feel like the most rewarding thing about it is the interaction. I mean, I've had social media before, and I've never really done much with it besides, it's my own personal one. I just connect with friends and stuff like that. So to be on another level of interaction with people you don't even know that actually care about your show, ask you questions about your show, give you their input on things. Maybe they disagree with you on things, and they like to put your input onto it. Like, just the interaction alone that I've had with people since the show started has that's been the best thing for me, man. I've connected with a lot of people, a lot of different shows from around the world. I mean, you're from New York, man. When I found out it reached you all the way over there, I was like, holy shit. So it's been fun interacting and everything like that. And honestly, that's I feel like that's what drives me to keep doing it more, is the fact that there's interaction with it, and the more consistent I stay with it, the more my post, my show, it kind of shoots out there more, because it shows that I'm not a bot, I'm active. And that's
Right.
what helps the algorithm out, man, is to just be consistent with your shit. And
Hmm.
that's basically what's been going on. That's just what I've been taking it from it, man. The
I,
interaction with people, different people from around the world and stuff. It's been awesome.
I feel like for me it's also rewarding because you can kind of design how you want episodes and how you want material to be. I grew up watching TV shows and I felt like I could do that better, or I would have said this a different way. But now we have the opportunity to actually put yourself out there with these contents. So let me ask you, podcast or the podcast? So there's a lot of people out there doing it, whether they call it a podcast, whether they call it a vlog, a blogger, a show. Do you feel with every other podcast that exists, it's hard for you to stand out?
It definitely is, man, because once you get into this podcast life, you kind of see, like, my feed is constantly showing me brand new podcasts that are starting that day. Podcasts are a big thing, man. Like, a lot of people are starting them. A lot of people are starting to do them. Um, so yeah, I would say that a lot of times people want to do podcasts. It's kind of like how mine is. People just want to talk. People just want to tell their opinions on things, and not necessarily a lot of them are like based off my idea of a show, because I wouldn't call it my idea in the first place, because there's plenty of others, that came before me that do the same thing. They talk about this, that, they're open discussion type stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so it is kind of, I would say it is kind of hard to shine over all that. But my best advice I can say is, because there's so many ideas out there of shows with the same thing, you got to come up with your own gimmick, man. You got to get out there and interact hard with your audience, and make them want to listen to the next episode, make them want to, like, because like I said, right now with football going on, I'm interacting with my audience with punishments because I don't have a co-host to bet with games for. And it went good, man. Like, had a lot of people vote in on what they wanted to do. I guarantee when the Raiders finally lose a game, have to do the punishment, I'm gonna have, people who are wanting to see whatever the dumb shit they vote for me to do. It's all about, like I said, standing out, even with people with the same idea, just standing out with your own kind of gimmick, man. You gotta be able to, bring a lot to the table, even with the same idea that people are having. Just go out there and just, like, do your own thing, but find something new, unique about it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Find
Yeah, I
something
love
that,
that.
even though it's the same idea,
Hmm.
it still stands out on its own as you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
No, it makes great sense. Like, and to piggyback on what you're saying, I agree. I remember me and Jay Rogers on the kickback. We did have, like, that was the introduction to our show about, like, the what is podcasting. I do recall when I said it, I said podcasting is hard. But now I'm gonna take that back as we talking about it, and now that I'm actually into it, I'm gonna say it this way: podcasting is easy. Finding your niche and staying consistent is the hard part.
It
Absolutely
is.
everything that you covered. It's you can start something. Everyone has a voice. You can have conversations, but it's how do you connect with your audience? What are you doing that's going to be relatable and impactful? A lot of people, when we start off just going in different directions because we don't know which way we're gonna go. We don't know where it's gonna take off, and then once you find like your rhythm, a lot of times before it gets good, what I see a lot of startup shows does, like they give up. Or they just say, you know what, no one's really listening. I'm not getting the views that I want. I'm not getting monetized. There's no money coming in. And it's that consistency. Like me and you, when we shoot the gift, like behind the doors and off camera, it's always about the consistency. You gotta stay with the consistency. And that might sound like, just old school rules, like, that old fella telling you, "Yo, stay in school, stay in school." But it might sound like a broken record, but it's a record that like still works. Stay consistent.
It's a very true record, man, and what you're saying is absolutely right. Like, people do this and they immediately don't get the results they want right away, and they just quit.
Mm,
Like, it goes with that saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, man. Your podcast ain't going to blow up overnight. It's not. If
absolutely.
Unless you got money, to pay for marketing and all this other extra stuff to kind of blast it out there more, it might. But I mean, for us, people like us, it's going to take consistency. It takes the time. It takes, if you have a plan to have an episode every week, have an episode every week. If you have a plan to, have a guest on, have a guest on. I've just like you said, I've seen shows, they've added me and stuff like that, and they're brand new show. they put out like 4 episodes, and I have not heard from their feed anymore. You know what I mean? I don't see them post or nothing like that. And I do my best to, even though I'm on my own show, I'm trying to, stay consistent with mine. I support everybody's show. You know what I
That's
mean? I give them that extra interaction, whether it's liking something, commenting something, this and that. I do my best to, everybody as much as I can for that. Just and it helps people. It helps boost people's enthusiasm about things. It's about, like you said, staying consistent. You're not going to get the results you want right away. You might not even get them in a year. You might have to do this for a full year before anything. And that's just if you want to. It might even take longer than that, which sucks to say, but I'm telling you, consistency will finally match up, and eventually you're going to, just like a viral TikTok, man. You could post a random video and all of a sudden it just blows the hell up for no reason,
mm-hmm.
and that could be your show one day. You just got to stay with it.
Right. That doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people they wait for that big break or that cosign and it never happens. So
Yeah, it's not.
you probably got to do the old standard way that nobody really wants to do, and that's just like just staying in the battle.
Yep.
Let's get on a more funner note. When we was on your show, we was talking about DC. We
Oh
was talking
man.
about the DC cons. We did Batman and Superman. So, are you familiar with Street Fighter?
Man, Street Fighter, that button mashing game. Of course, I'm
Oh
familiar
yeah,
with Street Fighter.
oh yeah. So I was reading, not reading, I was watching some YouTube clips and they were actually talking about what we got mistaken for what Ryu and Ken is saying. They're actually talking in Japanese language. The I do get it, not that you get.
So that's an actual Japanese saying.
Yeah, so it's they were saying that it actually means like flare kicks and fast fight fist. So I thought it was I do get the whole time. Like I
So
do.
these fucking guys are screaming "Flash Fight Fist" as they shoot a beam from their hand.
Yeah, something like that.
Flash
Fire.
Fight Fist.
So
No, I'm just gonna stick to the Asian
I
language.
will.
It sounds
Mhm.
better.
So that's a little bit of that. Just wanted to like get in touch with that with you and like talking more Marvel. So we got a lot. We got some up and coming films coming up. It looks like we're prepping for another Avengers. I don't know if it's the Secret Wars or it's the Kane Wars due to what's been happening with Jonathan. For you guys who don't know Jonathan, I can't recall his whole last name, but the brother was Kane inside of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they were they he it was supposed to be Kane, and they was prepping for the Kane Wars, but it looks like we're gonna probably do the Secret Wars. What do you think?
That's what it sounds like. I don't think they're gonna go back to Kane. Um, which is kind of what's thrown the Marvel universe into like a little crazy mix, because now it's like I'm sure they had something planned for it, but obviously because of that guy's case or whatever, it's kind of throwing everything up in shambles. I remember when you were on my show though, you didn't hear about Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, and
And
I'm
I,
sure
I
you
watched.
heard it now. So what do you think about that now that you know?
The way I see it, like right after the show, I did do some research and I watched in the Comic Con and that he came out. He was a part of the commission and he came out as Doctor Doom. I was feeling like, well, how are they gonna wrap that in? We already expressed that we felt like Phase 5 and 6 is like kind of like, well, let's stick to Phase 5. It's like kind of wrapped into everywhere. We got the multiverse going on. We got um changing characters. Captain America is now the Falcon, and we're trying to see how he's going to fall into the role. Iron Man is no longer, but now it's revealed that Doctor Doom is Robert Downey Jr. And then we have all of Phase 1 to 4 heroes retiring out. But you're trying to wrap the multiverse. You're trying to still tell the storyline of these characters. And in order to follow it up, that leads to another Avengers, you got to have Disney Plus so you can watch that because they always throw like little monkey wrenches and cameos in between that. And if you don't follow any of the Avengers or any of the Marvel movies that came out prior, you're not gonna know what's going on. For instance, Wolverine and Deadpool, they had a lot of Easter eggs a lot of reviews and a lot of explains and theories. I was watching a lot of commentary behind that. It was also showing how that's going to wrap into it. So I don't know how they're gonna wrap. I don't know how they're gonna wrap Doctor Doom into everything that's going on. But there is an Avengers um comic that surrounds of Doctor Doom, and that would be with the Secret Wars. So because they can't go to Caneway, they might go Doctor Doom. That's how I feel. That's what I think is going on.
A lot of people are not happy with the Robert Downey Jr. thing, but it's like if you really look into this, so many people have played different roles in Marvel movies.
True.
Captain America was in Fantastic Four.
And sure.
Um, Thanos was Cable, right?
Right in Deadpool, yes, he
Yeah,
was.
and like what people don't realize is this has been happening a lot. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? People have been playing different roles in these Marvel movies for a long time, and like the
Oh,
whole
no,
Thanos and Cable thing,
I
that
was-
thing just clicked in my
Deadpool
head
was
not too long ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool twice as
yes.
as whatever the hell the first one was, where he had no fucking mouth and he had like a was that like the fucking alien abduction fucking crop
Mm-hmm.
circles painted all over his body.
He was the Green Lantern, but
Yeah.
nobody wants to talk about it. So he did three different versions of a Marvel film.
Oh, Green Lantern's DC, ain't he?
I don't know. I mean, I love Marvel movies. I always look forward to seeing them. I just think they're doing a bit much, and even in Deadpool, they stabbed at it, made fun of it, where they were saying, "Hey, let's leave the multiverse alone and let's come back to something else," because it is confusing us. As much as we love to see it, we got to see all the Spider-Mans together. We got to see Doctor Doom kind of tying in the timelines and what's going on with that, but it's a little bit too much. Like I feel like
It
let's just get
it
it
for
back to
sure is, but right now I feel like they're looking at it as a fucking cash grab because with
yeah,
the multiverse, the amount of cameos you can do with the amount of like special actors or special guests is like unstoppable. As
true.
soon as they did it in the Spider-Man one, where they had all three different versions of Spider-Mans and people loved it. I mean, you seen DC immediately try to cash in on that with
But
the
let's
Flash movie and having Michael Keaton play his Batman again, and
hmm
had George Clooney at the end of it as Bruce Wayne again. So it's like the multiverse right now. I th- I get what you're saying. I'm kind of getting over it, but like I feel like Marvel right now thinks the multiverse storyline is a cash grab kind of thing because they can technically do whatever they want, and if nobody likes it, they could just crumple it up and toss it and just say, "Well, that was a multiverse. That was a different universe thing. We're
we
not even going to pay attention to that anymore." You know what I
like,
mean? It's an easy scapegoat for things. So
okay. I mean that's why Marvel. Let's talk a little bit more. If you both follow us, you know a little bit that we both like DBZ,
oh
Dragon
yeah,
Ball Z Super. Yo, you know what I started to realize? I like the storyline of Granola.
granola,
Granola. He's saying that the
Namekian,
Namekians they
Namekian.
they burned down his village. If you followed it before, and he later becomes he actually becomes a strong saint, and Vegeta and Goku is a part of that storyline. And I've been reading a manga on it, and at first I thought I liked the Marrow one, but I'm liking the Granola.
The granola. The Let me ask you this, um, because this shit kind of really grinds my gears when this stuff happens. So, like the
Yeah.
shit that I love, and people just tarnish it. They made a like years ago. They made a live action Dragon Ball Z movie. Did you watch that heap of garbage?
Was it the Fusion Fury?
I don't think it. I think it was. It was. It had American actors in it, man,
Okay.
and
No, Fusion Fury. Not a lot of people liked it. Um,
it was not good, man. And if it's the same one we're talking about, and I just know it was a live action, and it took it was more of like a Dragon Ball slash Dragon Ball Z. Uh,
Trio.
yeah, because Goku's an adult in it, but Piccolo's still the villain.
Oh,
Um,
the villain.
God, it was fucking terrible, man.
You
Like,
might be talking about when Piccolo was just like Piccolo and Goku's fight, and it was still Dragon Ball before they turned into Dragon Ball Z, and then that's when
and this
it
was like years ago, man. If
must have
you,
been
if
at the tournament.
yeah, if you, if and it's not even about the tournament either. The writer, like, what I don't get when it comes to like making live action movies of different things, you
Hmm.
have the script right there. You can
Yes.
watch the cartoons and see how the story goes and kind of basically base your idea on how you want to direct this movie. These fucks have the script right there, but they won't do it. And the next thing is like they just grabbed the Dragon Ball Z story and they just made it its own. It was so stupid, man. Bulma was played by some white chick and
Uh-huh.
Goku was like some American white dude actor. And it's just like, I mean,
Oh
I get it.
wait, you're talking about the actual movie, the live?
Yeah,
Yes,
the
the live.
live action movie.
Yeah, yeah, that. Yeah, I
This
think it was so bad that I forgot they even made it. I know it's
Yeah, man, it was terrible, and like a lot of people don't, and it was so bad that the actors, because they're pretty popular now. I can't remember their name. The
I
dude who
don't
played
remember that.
Goku,
The guy who played Goku was in Shameless. He was the
yeah, he
boy.
was the dude. I was about to say he was the dude that was in Shameless. The main character girl in Shameless played Bulma,
Yes,
um,
Palmer.
and it was so bad that when the creator guy of Dragon Ball Z died, they felt he made like a heartfelt apology to like fans about that movie.
Yeah, that movie was terrible.
And like I said, when it comes to shit like that, man, it bugs me that like you're a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, you're a big fan of whatever you are, whether it's video games or something, and people take these movies and they try to make them their own when really the script is right there. People want to see a live action of what they see in cartoon most of the time.
Absolutely.
Don't make up another story because it's not going to make sense and nobody's going to want it. Give us a live action story of something that was on the cartoon. You have the script, it's right there. Watch the fucking episodes, you'll get it. But they don't do it. They take a movie, they make it their own, they just butcher it. And I don't know who sits in these meetings, these offices, and approves this dog shit, man. It makes no sense.
I mean, now that I recall what you were saying, because I'm thinking when you saying live, I'm like it was live on TV, but when I'm thinking it
No,
was
live action, as in non-cartoon, real
um,
actors and shit.
bro, I think the whole world felt like that, not just me and you. Like no one even acknowledges that that even was a movie. Like that's the sad part about it.
I'm a huge, huge fan
God
of
for the
Resident Evil.
the
The
power, and thank God for the Dragon Ball Z Super. Like when Beerus and Goku battle of the gods. I'm glad that that came out because that saved the face.
Yeah, the cartoons are always good, man. The action's crazy. It's in the story. The
But
story is continuing to be in writing good and
do
stuff.
you
But
follow
like,
But do you follow the the fan trilogies? Like you have fans that makes fan theory mangas and like what could have happened. Like I follow one that they were like the what if Goku and Bardock, like what if they were able to like reconnect again, and like the storyline of how that would be, and like how he might look at Vegeta and everybody in that way, or like what if like Frieza's people came, or what if the two women Super Saiyans from Universe 6 they came and one of them would date go. It's so many ways, but
I've seen things like that. What you're talking about, I haven't seen them played out though. Of like
I watched
of like
some.
a what if kind of scenario, like Marvel does with their what if series and stuff.
I
But I mean, that's interesting. I love what if type things, man. Those are always good.
But I'm asking, all right, if you did follow the mangas that hasn't hit TV yet in the Japanese culture or the American culture, which storyline would you like to see first? Like for me, I would like to see the granola. I would like to see that, or I would like to see the Battle of the Angels versus the Gods of Destruction. I
That'd
would like
be
to see.
that'd be that. That's you see, that's like something like I haven't heard or haven't seen very much of.
Mhm.
But as far as like what if kind of things, man, I want to. There was a what if one of like because I don't know if you played the Dragon Ball Z games. Some of the missions
What
are
is
kind of huh. One of them
That
was
was,
Budokai. I can't remember if the one I'm thinking of is Budokai style,
yeah,
but
I,
there was some what if missions, and there was like ones where like Vegeta wins in his first appearance where he beats Goku, he beats everybody, and like after that Vegeta turns into a Super Saiyan because he's pissed off that he had to kill Nappa in the process and shit like that. So his
mm,
transformation happens like right there. Um, Another one of like what if like Frieza won the fight on Namek and stuff. And honestly, I would love to see like here we go with multiverse shit, like side story stuff, of like what could have happened if this happened. That stuff kind of interests me. You don't have
mm,
to do like crazy cameos and stuff like Marvel does, but let's do a multiverse uh movie of something that what if it didn't happen this way? Like let's see like cuz there's comics out there. I know I'm
right.
jumping back and forth to Marvel and Dragon Ball Z, but I'm using it as an example. There's
No,
comics out there of storylines of what happens after Thanos wins and nobody beats him. You know what I mean? He just wins, and there's storylines of how Earth is after that and stuff. I totally dig some shit like that if they came out with some stuff like
right.
that.
There's even storylines like I watch a lot of clips on YouTube for like people who do a lot of what ifs. They show other places in the universe that when Thanos actually did the snap, what were they doing and
Yeah,
where did they wind up? So there's a lot of places even in Dragon Ball Z you can go. You can go as far as like after Black Goku, that saga and Trunks, like what happened to their future. Even though he did take that Omaro, I believe, from that area and put them both together. So now there's two of them, and it was erased. But they could go more in depth of like what was the life like before? Because remember Gohan in that storyline, that was Trunks' sensei, that was his mentor, and his leg is off, or I believe his arm. Then you have the storyline to I wish they didn't throw GT out like they did because there was a lot of footage with that.
yeah.
And even the end of the OG Dragon Ball Z, you had no, it wasn't Boo in him. It was when he was talking to his great grandson, and Goku showed up with his uniform on, and he was looking for. So there's so many ways that DBZ could go as well. Um, Getting off the DBZ a little bit, going into more movies. What was the latest movie that you've seen?
So me and my wife just watched a couple new movies. I did a couple of reviews on my show recently of the new Trapped and the new Long Legs, but
Oh yeah,
the most recent ones we just watched right now was Annabelle,
yeah,
Abigail, Abigail,
Abigail,
and this is an old movie, but I've never seen it before, so we just watched it the other day. Interstellar,
Abigail or Annabelle? What is it about?
Abigail.
Yes.
So it's a horror movie and about these guys that capture this little girl and they bring her to this mansion and they have to go on lockdown because they're holding her ransom. That's what these people who kidnap them
And
think.
she turns into a vampire?
Yeah, so she ends up
Oh,
being
yeah.
Dracula's daughter. And this is basically her way of like feeding on people is like Dracula hires these people, they bring them to a house and she just slaughters them
Oh,
basically. So it's basically a movie about these people trying to survive. It's one of I forgot his name. Angus Young, I think it is. He was from Euphoria. He died of an overdose or something like that. It's one of his last movies he did
mm,
before he actually passed away. But just watched that one. It was good. I mean, it's a different twist on horror. I mean, you see horror movies and they're almost kind of the
mm.
same idea every fucking time. Killer, people run in, blah, 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 rinse and repeat. Abigail was pretty good. It was like I said, different twist on things, and it had like unique kind of like clever idea of kills, so it was pretty good. But like I
Oh,
said, the next one I watched, it's an old movie. I think it came out like 10 years ago, but it's with Matthew
okay.
McConaughey called Interstellar.
Ah,
I don't
I
know if
didn't watch. I
you
probably me and we watch a lot of movies a lot as well, like especially during a weekday. I didn't see tons of movies and can't recall, but what is that one about?
Interstellar. Like it caught me off guard because it's a 3 hour fucking movie right off the bat, and I was like, holy shit.
Harry
As soon as
Potter.
you see that, you just think, "Fuck, man!" You got to prep yourself. Like, well, shit, let's go out, let's get some snacks, let's get something like we prep for this movie and everything. And Interstellar kind of deals with it's about planet Earth, how it's dying, crops aren't growing. Basically, like farmers are the most important thing right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are going to schools, they're smart, they're passing these tests, but teachers are failing them on purpose so they can become farmers because the world is in dire need of farmers. And Matthew McConaughey plays like a farmer who's like an ex NASA like astronaut type person, and
Mm-hmm.
they send him out to this black hole to like basically find like other inhabitants where they could like repopulate and just kind of start a new Earth. And it deals with like time travel. It deals with like it's crazy. Like they go to this one place, and Matthew McConaughey is tripping out about going there because he finds out once they go into this black hole and they get into this planet, 1 hour passed on this planet is 7 years passed on Earth. So he's like tripping out. He's got kids. He's left them behind to do this mission. So he's like very like stern on like we go down there, we get this fucking sample from this planet, and we get the fuck out of there because I am not about to fucking have my kids growing up and shit.
Oh wow.
They get to this planet, shit goes south. They end up trying. It's like a big water planet. Like the tsunami waves that just flow through this world, like this planet, are just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up like wrestling this shit around for a while, and they end up staying like 2 hours at this place trying to escape. And then they
Oh.
come back and they realize they did their math wrong. That longer time has actually passed, and they were there for 2 hours, and like I think they said like 24 years have passed on Earth, and it just gets fucking crazy. It's an actually good movie. If you want to sit down for 3 hours and just kind of focus in on a trippy little movie like that, it's a good sit down movie. But
I
like
mean,
I said, you got to be locked in for like 3 hours for this thing, like we were. So
Matt Matthews a hell of an actor. I like his material. I like what he does. I wouldn't mind watching it, even if it's like 10 years ago or
yeah,
so.
it's a good movie. I don't know if you how frequent you like go on TikTok, but a lot of people were using the a sound from that movie that was kind of like a trend where he's like screaming like no no no. That's it. That's the sound that it comes from for because he's kind of like he gets into this black hole and he's kind of like where he can like see time and other stuff. So he kind of like gets to see himself leaving for this mission, and that's basically a scene of himself like screaming at himself not to go on the mission and shit. He
Oh,
basically misses his whole family by the time. Well, I mean, it's 10 years. I mean, if you ain't seen it by now, whatever. But I mean, by the time he finally sees his family, like his kid's like fucking 80 years old and shit, and he's still like the same age he was when he left them. So it's a trippy movie. It's good.
I've been watching some trippy shit.
Yeah, it's and
Like,
like
what did we finish? We finished the Queen's Gambit. Like that. It's about this young lady who just falls in love and like is just obsessed with chess, and she gets rich off it. But she also is addicted to pills and alcohol. But she's a great chess player. She's an orphan. That's how she starts off, and she ends with just finding peace and her traumas and triggers. It's a great watch. It's a series. It's also on Netflix. Right now, we are coming to the conclusion inside of this Netflix series called Three Body Problem. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
three body problem.
Now, oh my God. All right, it's called Three Body Problem. It's based in the UK, but it has American actors. It's a book. I had to, because I'm really trying to understand what's going on. It's one of those you have to, it's going to make your brain work. So, but it's definitely a good watch. It's a 3 book part series. That's what I learned that it is, and it's covering the series is covering the first book, which is called Three Body Problem, and it's wrapped up between religion, physics, and what's this extraterrestrial. You
So
got all.
this is a series, you said, not a movie.
It's no, it's a TV series.
Okay, yeah, a series.
It's based on like it's following like the theologies of extraterrestrial physics and religion. It was all 3 wrapped up. And if you don't understand anything, if you don't really know anything about science, you're probably gonna get lost. So you gotta channel that nerd in you a little bit. So it's a lot of physics, there's a lot of science breaking down. It's religion, so they're talking about God, they're talking about like how the universe works with that, and then they're connecting with the aliens that's outside. So it's all 3 different connects. So it definitely have you like trying to understand. It was to where it's so good, but it's so brain working that I actually had to look at some explanations further on YouTube. But I definitely feel like it's a good watch. We'll come to the conclusion of it, so I won't ruin it. But I think it's worth a watch for anyone who likes to watch things that makes you think and wants to like kind of just get into that like conspiracy theory conversation.
I fucks with aliens, so yeah.
But so look at it, three
It's
body part.
it's weird, man. Just hearing what you watch too, and like the TV series me and my wife are watching is just like totally like left field of that. Like we're
Or
watching basically the documentary story on Jared Fogle, the subway pedophile guy,
oh wow,
and basically like everything of his success leading up to his arrest and all this shit he was doing. And so it's like we're into like crime shit, you know what I mean? And when it
like
comes to stuff like that, we like watching shit like that. Like
I mean,
one of
I'm
our
into
favorite things on YouTube to watch is like vigilante predator hunters, man. That they set out the kind of like Chris Hansen shit, where they set out the decoy and stuff like that, and they have them go to the house and they meet them. And
shit, that
so
that
I mean, we're into that shit. That shit's funny to us, but like it's it's like Chris Hansen stuff, but like I said, they're YouTube vigilante type crews, and they do it themselves and stuff, and it's pretty comical, man. Like I said, we're into like crime type shit and stuff like that, and that's usually when we watch TV series, it's stuff like that. Like we like to watch a lot of TV series that deals with like I guess the criminal, like not because you know how like some people like to watch like Law and Order or fucking like just basically like the cops, detectives and stuff like that trying to solve the case. We like the shows where it's from the other side. Like Breaking Bad was good. We watched
okay.
this other one called on Netflix called
I'm
You,
feeling
where
it.
it was like this crazy stalker murderer dude and stuff. And Dexter was another one. Like I love shows that it's like from that kind of point of view instead of like a detective trying to solve a murder kind of point of view.
Do you know a show that these kids cannot handle today for today's TV? Oz. You ever heard of that, or did you
Man,
ever?
my parents watched the shit out of Oz, man.
So, to
And
watch that, that is not something I want to say that's appropriate for kids, or it's not appropriate for people who have like mediocre mindsets. Like that shit is really intense.
man, I remember being a kid and that show coming on and my dad watching it and just hearing that theme song, that huh, fucking
Now, there's a lot of breakout actors who are like A-list now. Like for the guy who played in Special Victims, Elliot,
mm-hmm.
he was in that. So if you want to keep your image of how he was, you don't want to watch Oz because let's
Yeah,
talk about people
I
who just like rapists.
I never watched fully through Oz. I do know what Oz is. Like I said, it came
I
out when I
watched
was
it.
a kid, so my parents watched the shit out of that show. But like, I
That's
totally forgot about that show till you just brought it up. But I do remember it now for sure.
all right. I mean, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because I know you gave me your time because like we've been working on this for so long. Is there anything that you want to give for people out there to look out for snacks, or you want to give any just like um, positive affirmation to anybody out there who's trying to start up a show and trying to like get content off, like whatever you feel like you want to do.
So I guess closing statements for me. I mean, obviously, check out my show if you like hear random ramblings and stuff like that. Um, at the moment, man, this month has been super busy for me. I've got a lot of stuff going on to where I took my first break with the show recently, like right after your episode aired. I was off for like a month, man. I just had wave after wave of things going on, but I'm back in the mix. Episodes are coming out regularly. So go ahead and check that out. We are the mess. Like I said, just random ramblings of just different things, sports, movies, games, whatever you got for us. Um, and on a positive note, man, like I said, for anyone out there who's doing this or not even podcasting, man, whatever you're doing, it's like me and Twist talked about in the beginning, man. It's consistency. Stick with what you're doing. If you're good at it, if you love at it, man, why stop it? You're not going to get what you want right away, but you work towards it, you're going to get eventually something out of it. And something out of it turns into more out of it. And more out of it turns into something else. I started out just like everybody else. No viewers, no followers. And my consistency has built me up to a show to where I don't have a million followers, 1,000 followers, but I've grown my show to at least 400 followers. I've, grown my views up to that. I've more interacting with audience and stuff. So I say to everybody on a positive note, hang in there, stick in there, but stay consistent. The second you give up and fall off is your algorithm, man. It's going to drop and plummet, and it's going to take a while to build it right back up there again. So that is it.
There you have it from the boss himself, SteveGeezy. Hey, listen, I want to just say thank you for stopping by. I know that like our schedules, we have conflict, but we finally did it, and there's gonna be many more to come. Y'all listeners out there from Let's Talk About It, make sure y'all check out We Are the Mess. It's great content. If you like what's going on over here, you would definitely like what's going on over there because we are sister episodes, brother episodes, because we're not. We're connected, so we're basically in the same universe. If you follow Marvel and you follow any anime, we exist in the same timeline. We always support each other's show. If you follow my Instagram, you definitely see me times posting content that's coming from Steve Jeezy's platform. With that being said, that concludes this episode of Let's Talk About It. And you can find clips of the episodes on Facebook, Instagram, X, and now TikTok. And we on YouTube too now. Let's get that a class.
Damn, you all over the place, Twist.
Yes, working. Yeah, so bear with me because I'm just operating on all these different platforms and I'm by myself. With as time goes, I probably have to hire help, but I'm working on it. So with that being said, I'll see y'all. I'll miss y'all. See you later.
Appreciate it, Twist. See ya.